tremendous number of things that are exempt from sales tax. If any of you are in the ostrich feed business, that happens to be one of them. A lot of them. Okay. You can open a business bank account. Go to any bank that is convenient and has the range of services that you need. That's credit card processing and electronic banking. Make sure you get all of those things. But open a business bank account. And what you're going to find is that since 9/11, they want more paperwork from you. They might even want a signed document saying that you're authorized to transact business for this business. The last one, to make money, is optional. Used to be an IRS agent. I dealt with a lot of businesses that were designed to lose money for tax purposes. Although I thought that was kind of a strange concept when I first ran into it, but I actually did audit a business one time that was designed to lose money, and unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond their control, they wound up making money, which ruined an awful lot of tax money. As I mentioned before, most businesses are established under state law, Florida law, Georgia law, Louisiana law, different. You can research at sunbiz.org any business you're interested in the state of Florida. And you actually should do that, because if you intend to set up a limited liability company or a corporation, it must have a unique name, i.e. a name that nobody else is using. So if you've got a name that you're sort of fixing on, and it's one of those two types of entities, look it up, make sure somebody else doesn't have it already. These are the four major types of organizations that Florida uses: sole proprietorship, corporations, partnerships, limited liability companies. Don't have a good number on sole proprietorships in Florida, but I can tell you there's 55 million of them in the United States, based on IRS stats. Partnerships in the state of Florida seem to be about dead. There were 2,000 set up in the state last year. Why? I'll mention in a moment. It's liability issues, I believe. Corporations, Florida, about 10 years ago, was setting up about 110,000 corporations per year. Last year, it's 110,000. It's pretty much flatline. New kid on the block, been around 40 years, limited liability company, is a superstar in terms of filings. 10 years ago, it was about 5,000 level. It's now, last year, it was 125,000. So this one's growing fast. So how do you select from among these? Well, there's no perfect fit. You sort of decide which of these things works best for you. For example, a sole proprietorship, I can set one up in 15 minutes. Believe me. Particularly if my name is in the title, I'm going to go down and buy a license, and I'm in business. Very easy. Typical company we set up as a sole proprietorship company doesn't have a whole lot of liability concerns, like a lawn service, maybe a cleaning service. You come to me and say, I want to open a child care center as a sole proprietorship, I'm going to try and convince you you're out of your mind, because you're quite likely to get sued. Sole proprietorships are really a very good choice for the person who's, I'm going to operate this business in my lifetime, and when I die, the business is going to die. I'm not going to hand it off to my kids or anything like that. I just want to make a living from it. I'm not trying to create an empire. The big problem with it is unlimited liability. If I get sued in this business, Florida does tend to exempt your home. We tend to call that the O.J. Simpson home. However, anything else that you own can be subject to loss of the lawsuit to be taken from. So if you have other assets outside of the business, you might want to think about that if perhaps that's a concern. Control in the sole proprietorship is the owner. The owner and the business are one entity. There's no separate designation. So if the owner gets hit by a Mack truck, the business gets hit by a Mack truck also. Record keeping is pretty simple, like limited to owner. That's one of the reasons people like it. They normally select a sole proprietorship because it's easy, it's quick, tax filing is rather simple. It works. Partnership, more complex. Particularly if you're going into partnership with somebody else, I would highly recommend you consult an attorney. Do not depend on oral agreements, because oral agreements often go south. The problem with the partnership liability is not only do I have unlimited liability and unlimited In a general partnership, I'm also responsible for the actions of my partners. So you can do something I'm not even aware of, I'm still responsible for your actions, and that's usually a killer. Control is held by the owners, typically in ratios that they negotiate. The record's fairly simple. The life of it is limited to the owner. Typically, when somebody dies in a partnership, you have to reconstitute it, put it out of business or something like that. Corporations been around a very long time. It's been a form of entity for hundreds and hundreds of years, and it creates a separate legal entity. Think of yourself and the corporation standing next to you. Most people tend to go to a corporation because of limited liability issues. You can still sue the corporation, but your recovery is limited to the assets of the corporation. The reason some people stay away from it is they don't like the complexity associated with the record keeping. So they tend to avoid the corporation, and one of the things that takes people towards it is the ability to control. The corporation's a dictatorship. I'm a 51% shareholder, I'm the dictator. So I may be interested in what you're thinking, but I'm still the dictator. So a lot of people will go to that because most of my business owners want to be the dictator. They want to call all the shots. LLC. LLCs came up about 40 years ago when people began to ask this question. Why can't I have the simplicity associated with the sole proprietorship and the liability protection associated with the corporation without all that record keeping? And that brought forth the LLC, which are now available in all states of the United States. Basically, we align ourselves. We can have a one-owner LLC or a multi-owner LLC. If we are multi-owner, we align ourselves with others in a sort of partnership-like vehicle. We don't call ourselves partners, we call ourselves members. We have a managing member. And our liability is limited. And, as you're going to see on the next screen, we get a tremendous amount of taxation flexibility. Basically, the IRS in this situation says, look, we don't care. You just tell us how you want to be taxed. We don't get that form of taxation in any organization. So LLCs have become extremely popular. This is what I'm trying to illustrate here. This is the tax situation associated with these entities. Let me describe the LLC first, because when the LLC was invented, the tax laws had already been in place for about 50 years. So the IRS had a dilemma. They said, we don't want to create new tax laws for an entity we never imagined would be created. So what we're going to do is retrofit it on existing entities. And we're going to say, well, you can file this form with us or that form, because there is no tax form for an LLC and there never will be. So how do they do that? Well, if you're a one-owner LLC, they disregard you as an entity, and you file exactly the same thing as a sole proprietorship, which is 1040 Schedule C. That means I add 2 pages to my Form 1040, and I skip the entire tax return with the attendant accounting fees and everything associated with it. Okay. I file by April the 15th. There's no Florida income tax, but there is a self-employment tax. Self-employment tax is Social Security. When you work for somebody else, you pay half, they pay half. When you work for yourself, you pay both pieces. 15.3%. Partnership. Now, traditional partnerships have been around a long time, but if I have 2 or more owners in my LLC, for example, my wife and I own an LLC, the default option from IRS is filing like a partnership. It's just the default option. I can't change it. And in that particular case, I would file Form 1065. I would file it by April the 15th, and again, I would have self-employment tax associated with it. Same thing I file as a partnership. Corporations, Florida only has 2 flavors. For-profit, not-for-profit. But the IRS has 2 more flavors. They have C Corps and S Corps. C Corp is a traditional corporation, think General Motors, IBM, these kinds of entities. It is the only form of entity, though, where the business is responsible for its own taxes. In all other forms, we as the owners pay that, which triggers estimated tax payments to 4 times a year, sending money to the IRS. And if you notice, this has to be filed a month earlier. And C corporation is subject to foreign income tax at 5.5%. Now, why would you do this? It doesn't look good. You would do it when certain circumstances come up. Number one, I want to create a lot of things for myself as the owner of this corporation, a nice retirement plan, a nice medical plan, maybe some corporate choice. The C corporation, all of that stuff is deductible by the corporation, creating no income to me. Very nice. Very nice. In addition, if I'm the sort of guy who's going to be interested in venture capital, it's going to have to be a C corporation because that's all venture capitalists tend to invest in. Now, an S corporation's been around a while. S corporation is typically a new startup corporation. Theory is it's going to lose money for a while. And we can elect by filing a form with the IRS to be taxed as an S corporation. And notice this, we become responsible for the taxes that we do here rather than the corporation. So there's a lot of territory in here that you can maneuver through. And guys like myself can make a lot of money helping you maneuver through it. As we like to say, we're professionals, do not attempt this at home. Okay, can I answer any questions? I know that's quick, and certainly are available to talk to you at more length. You can reach us at 599-3407. You can also check on the web and see classes that are coming up. If you go to floridasbdc.com, look under events. Now, for those of you that I didn't completely put to sleep, are there any questions? None? Very good. For those of you too embarrassed to ask questions, I'll be outside the door. Okay. 599-3407.
Thank you, Mr. Workman, for that presentation. Now we're going to do this presentation with presenting certificate of